I had an encounter with the devil, and for the first time in my life, I saw the hell that's described in the Bible. It's just like the Bible says. Nothing more, nothing less, but there's no worse place because hell is a place where God really, people think like hell's okay, like I'll survive. Like I hear people say like I'll go party there, I'll continue to sin. No, yeah, it doesn't work like that. You're in so much agony. I was in so much agony, Natalie, because there's not even 1 ounce of life for God that I don't wish it on anyone. Nobody should go there. The guilt and the hopelessness I felt is something I never want to relive or see my worst enemies go through. That's why Jesus said he desires all people to be saved. Yeah, 50,000 less years of hell was the exact thing he promised me. And this wasn't like a short encounter. This was like a very comprehensive encounter where he came to me. I thought it was the Buddhist God. It was around the 8th day of my insomnia. And I literally thought he came to bring me peace. Like, here's my way out. And when I, went for it, wrote my mom a letter, and I was in hell, I realized it was too late because when I cut myself open, the cops jumped on me. My spirit left my body, and I went to hell. And that the same grandpa that told me he gonna take me to less hell disappeared. I thought he was gonna take my hand. So it was so scary because my out of body experience was alone, and I sank alone. And when I got to hell, I knew it was too late. Supernaturally, for the first time in my life, I knew I was away from goodness, and I'm guilty. I'm a sinner, which I never thought that. It's weird how you just know when you get there. You supernaturally know, and I knew I was going to be there forever. There was another revelation I had, and I can go into detail about what hell looked like, but it's utter darkness. Um, Everyone was in too much pain. There was no conversations like, "Hey, where you from? Like, you doing all right?" I was in too much pain and guilt, and fear and anxiety just went up the roof. Like, I was suffering those 10 days, but it got worse. It got worse in hell. Like, words cannot describe. So I tell people, if you want me to describe it to you, it's better for me to get tortured. I'd rather get tortured in a concentration camp or some prison camp in North Korea for being a Christian, or die or get my limb chopped off than go back to hell. The pain was so incredible. That's why Jesus says, believe, repent, and go to heaven. But it's choice. At the end of the day, it's free will. Free will is all over the Bible. People choose to go there because God desires all of us to go to heaven. So how can he contradict himself and go, hey, I desire all of you to come to heaven, but you're not chosen? See, that doesn't make any sense. So yeah, so Lord have mercy. I was suffering. I had insomnia for 10 days, Natalie, but I was only there for like 8 hours because that was the duration of my surgery. So in the natural, I was there for 8 hours. Yeah, yeah, but I was like in the suffering, like I was up for 10 straight days with my insomnia that led to the incident where I was in unconscious for 8 hours. Yeah, and experiencing hell at the same time. You go to a whole different realm. So how can I explain this? So like, because for me, I went back and forth too. I was conscious 1 minute, I was unconscious next minute. I felt myself back in my body and back out, sinking again. It was like, what is going on? Like, because it was a whole different world. I knew it was like the eternal spiritual world. And never mind, and I never read the Bible. I never went to church. I thought church was fake because all my Christian friends were living in sin. And I said, there's no way Jesus is real. I said, Buddha must be real because at least Buddhists are honest. Like my Christian friends, they were not good witnesses back then. So I remember when I was sinking into hell, and when I got there, I knew this was an eternal realm that you cannot escape. It's like a final. I just supernaturally knew this is a final destination. Like I can't pray my way out. And I looked around, and there were like demons, Natalie, everywhere. And these were not because the Bible. There's dozens of verses where people get tortured in the pit. I believe this is before the second fire, the lake of fire, which is the final judgment after the resurrection. But before, where do the souls go? Because they go to Sheol or paradise if you believe in Jesus, just like the thief on the cross. So that was crucified with the Lord. So I was in hell, and I knew the demons were going to torture all these people. And I looked at the left, and there were like cells, these cells that I knew I was going to go in there and get tortured. Demons I knew, they were like not friendly. They're going to get me. And they had capes on, and I knew these things were huge. They weren't like little ink, things I sit on your shoulder. Like they were huge demons. And I got to tell you, like, experiencing hell allowed me though to to really appreciate evangelists and churches that pray. The two type of churches in this world: churches that pray and that don't. So the Lord calls those a dead church. But the praying churches, they prioritize one thing: salvation of souls, world missions, feeding the poor, just like the book of Acts. So after I saw hell and the Lord brought me back, I became a very fervent evangelist. We preach everywhere. Like, you name a location, we'll be preaching there. Airplane, mosque, temple, Walmart, theater. And we do relational evangelism, where we bring people into the church and we plug them in, we baptize them. So and then we raise up pastors who do that. And because evangelism is so underrated, like, oh, that's for Billy Graham. But the Lord says, you will be my witness when you receive power. So just for me, more, I felt like I was sinking. So I left my body. I see myself, which was another trippy experience. It's called scientifically the OBE, out of body experience. I read a lot of books. So there's a book called the the Probability of the Impossible, where non-Christians write dozens of chapters on having ND, like OBEs. It's crazy, and it's documented and stuff. But mine was, it was real, because when I left my body and I sank, it felt like I was in a roller coaster, an elevator that just kept falling. Like, I couldn't go back up. It just kept falling, like, to a different realm. And so I can describe it as, like, when you ride the roller coaster at Disneyland, yeah, it feels like that, like, but it doesn't go back up. But while I was going down, I felt more fear, more anxiety, because during those 10 days, I was so anxious and insomniac. I think I was demon possessed. So now, now we do a lot of exorcism. We did the one this morning, but now we do a lot of what Jesus says, cast out demons. But back then I didn't have Jesus, so I didn't know what to do. I just sank and I ended up in hell. And when I was there, for me, hell was a very, very visual experience, and a very psychological experience, a very spiritual experience. Like, some people say, oh, I smelled all these things. I don't remember the smell as much, but I remember the intensity of the place, of hopelessness and darkness. There was no plants at all, not even an ounce of grass, like not even one grass. Like, you have grass in your background. Like, there's no grass, like a little bit. It's just dry, purplish, reddish rocks everywhere. And there were so many people. I remember there were so many people. And I knew they were feeling what I felt. And they were just everywhere. They were just everywhere, to my left, to my right. And there was like cliffs everywhere, rocks. And the place felt like it was like it was just like purplish red. So I felt like maybe there was like inferno, but I didn't like, I see the lake of fire, but I saw like what I think a little pits of fire maybe, but not the whole lake of fire. It was lit up and it was dark. So it's kind of hard to explain, because when I looked up, it was all black. When I looked up, it was all dark. But I knew we're gonna get tortured soon, and I think the separation that I felt with God was the worst. Like, on earth, there was a little bit of hope. Like, even though I was a Buddhist, there was hope. Like, things are gonna get better. But in hell, it's over. Like, you end up in the wrong place, and the guilt was the worst. Like, the psychological, spiritual guilt I felt um, is what the Bible calls judgment. Hell is a real place. So unless we know the reality of hell, there's no way we're gonna get people out, because it's like, oh yeah, you can die without Jesus. Like, I want to be politically correct, I want to be a nice person, but God's not looking for nice people. I heard, like, Muslims, they don't even respect nice people. The world likes honest people, convicted people, people who will die for you. They want to see some energy and passion. That's why Jesus is the most amazing one ever, because he was so passionate for you and I, that he took up the cross and died for us.